Late October 1944. A warehouse somewhere in the Philippines. The captured American Jeep sits in the center of the examination room, olive drab paint dulled by mud and combat. Bullet holes pepper the driver's side door. The canvas top is shredded. One headlight is cracked. Chief Engineer Hiroshi Tanaka circles the vehicle slowly, notebook in hand. He's been designing military vehicles for 8 years. He helped refine the Kurogane Type 95. He consulted on the Isuzu Type 94 truck. He knows vehicle engineering the way a surgeon knows anatomy. But this thing sitting before him, this crude little American machine, troubles him in ways he can't yet articulate. His assistant, Lieutenant Yamamoto, takes photographs from every angle. Click, click, click. The flashbulbs pop in the dim warehouse light. It's so simple, Yamamoto says. Tanaka doesn't respond. Simple isn't the right word. Brutal, perhaps. Utilitarian. Stripped down to absolute essentials. He opens the hood. The engine bay is cramped but accessible. 4 cylinders, 60 horsepower, nothing impressive. His Kurogane has a more sophisticated power plant. But something nags at him. He walks to the rear, sees the trailer hitch, built-in, integrated, ready. Sees the 3 fuel can mounts. Sees the shovel and axe brackets. Every surface seems designed to carry something, mount something, attach something. Tanaka runs his hand along the flat hood. Smooth, level, perfect height for... What? Writing? Map reading? Field surgery? Sir, Yamamoto says, intelligence has delivered the field reports you requested. Tanaka takes the folder, opens it, begins reading. His eyes widen. What he's about to discover will challenge everything he thought he knew about vehicle design. In 6 months, Japanese engineers will be desperately trying to copy this machine. In 6 years, Toyota will succeed. In 60 years, what they learned from this simple American Jeep will dominate the global automotive market. But right now, in this warehouse, Tanaka is about to understand why Japan is losing the war. Tanaka grew up in an era of Japanese engineering excellence. When he joined Nihon Ninenki in 1936, Japan was building some of the most sophisticated military equipment in the world, the Type 95 light tank, the Mitsubishi A6M0 fighter, ships that could match anything the Americans or British could field. Japanese engineering philosophy was clear. Identify the requirement, design the optimal solution, refine until perfect. The Kurogane Type 95 scout car embodied this thinking. Designed in 1936 for the Imperial Japanese Army, the Kurogane was built for specific purposes: officer transport, reconnaissance, communications. It featured a 1,200cc air-cooled V-twin engine producing 33 horsepower. Adequate for its role. The vehicle seated 3 men comfortably. It had weather protection. The suspension was tuned for Japanese roads, a mix of paved and improved dirt. The steering was precise. The controls refined. It was a good vehicle. Purpose-built. Optimized. They produced around 4,700 units, not mass production by American standards, but respectable for Japan's industrial capacity. Tanaka had worked on the final refinements. He was proud of the Kurogane. It did its job well. But standing before this American Jeep, something doesn't add up. The intelligence briefing said the Americans were producing these by the tens of thousands. That they were everywhere. Pacific, Europe, North Africa, Burma. That American infantry divisions operated hundreds of them. How could a vehicle this crude be so successful? Tanaka begins his systematic examination. Measurements. Yamamoto calls them out as Tanaka records. Wheelbase, 80 inches, incredibly short. The Kurogane is longer. Overall length, 132 inches. Tiny. You could fit 2 of these in a standard cargo bay. Width, 62 inches. Narrow, which means weight, 2,450 pounds. Tanaka stops writing. Repeat that. 2,450 pounds, sir. We weighed it twice. That's impossibly light. The Kurogane weighs almost 3,000 pounds. And the Kurogane is already considered a light vehicle. Ground clearance 8.75 inches, higher than expected, higher than the Kurogane. Engine displacement 134 cubic inches, horsepower 60, less than the Kurogane. Yet intelligence reports say these vehicles have been to places Japanese vehicles couldn't reach. How? Tanaka circles the Jeep again, this time looking not at what's there but at what isn't. No doors, just a simple cutout. No weather protection except a removable canvas top, currently shredded. No comfortable seats, just simple frames with canvas stretched across. No storage compartments, no toolboxes, no dedicated anything. The windshield folds down flat. Why would you? Oh, for loading onto aircraft, for making the vehicle even more compact. For what else? Machine gun positions, reducing visibility on night operations? Tanaka looks at the flat hood again, then at the sides, then at the rear body. Every surface is flat, every edge is 90 degrees, every panel is simple stamped steel. This isn't crude, this is intentional. Tanaka climbs into the driver's seat. The controls are straightforward: clutch, brake, accelerator. A shift lever for the transmission. Another lever. Lieutenant, what is this second lever? Yamamoto consults the captured manual. Transfer case control, sir. It engages the front axle for four-wheel drive. Part-time four-wheel drive. Clever. When you need traction, engage it. When you don't, save wear on the drivetrain. The Kurogane has permanent four-wheel drive. More sophisticated mechanically, but heavier. More complex, more parts to maintain. Tanaka tests the steering. Manual, no assistance. But the short wheelbase means the turning radius is absurdly tight. You could almost spin this vehicle in place. He examines the suspension. Simple leaf springs. Front and rear. Nothing exotic, nothing optimized. Crude or robust. Tanaka gets out, walks to the rear, finds the pintle hook, the trailer hitch. It's not an accessory. It's integrated into the frame. This vehicle was designed from the beginning to tow. He looks under the vehicle. The frame is a simple ladder design. 2 parallel rails with cross members. Uniform spacing. No complex curves. No optimization for weight distribution. And then he sees it. The cross members are all identical. The spacing is regular. The mounting points are everywhere. You could bolt anything to this frame. Anywhere. Tanaka stands up, looks at Yamamoto. This vehicle wasn't designed for a purpose, he says slowly. It was designed for purposes. Sir, when we designed the Kurogane, we asked, what does an officer's reconnaissance car need? We answered that question. We optimized for that answer. He gestures at the Jeep. The Americans asked, what does war need? And they answered, we don't know. So they built something that could become whatever war demanded. The implications hit him like a physical force. Lieutenant, bring me those intelligence reports, all of them. The reports cover the table. Field observations, prisoner interrogations, captured photographs, documents seized from American supply depots. Tanaka reads them in order, chronological from 1942 to present. Primary roles documented: standard reconnaissance vehicle. Expected. Every army needs scout cars, command transport, officers use it to move between positions. Reasonable. Messenger and courier service. Fast, nimble. Makes sense. Light cargo hauler, half-ton rated capacity within parameters, but then the reports diverge from expectation. North Africa, 1943, British Special Air Service raids. Photographs show jeeps mounting multiple 30-caliber machine guns and a 50 caliber in the rear. 3 to 4 guns per vehicle. The SAS used these jeeps to raid behind German lines, fast attack vehicles. They'd approach convoys at high speed, guns blazing, tear through the column and disappear into the desert. One report describes a raid on a fuel convoy. 6 jeeps destroyed 23 trucks in under 4 minutes. 6 vehicles, 23 trucks. The jeep wasn't designed as an attack vehicle, but it became one. Pacific Theater, 1943-44. Ambulance configurations. A simple frame welded over the hood and rear body allows the jeep to carry 3 wounded men on litters. 3 at once, plus a medic. The reports note, American medics can reach wounded under fire, load them, and extract them in minutes. Japanese casualties lie in place for hours. The jeep wasn't designed as an ambulance, but it became one. Europe, 1944, radio vehicles. Photographs show jeeps with large radio sets mounted in the rear. SCR 284, SCR 694, others. Antennas extending 12 feet up. Mobile communications posts. The jeep generator powers the radios. The vehicle moves with the front line. Communications stay. Current. The jeep wasn't designed as a radio station, but it became one. Artillery observations, forward observer vehicles, jeeps with map tables, radio equipment, binoculars, teams that spot targets and call in fire. The reports note, American artillery response time is significantly faster than ours. Forward observers in jeeps reposition constantly. Weapons carriers, not just machine guns. Photographs show mounted 37mm anti-tank guns, bazookas, mortars, recoilless rifles. Even experimental rockets wire laying. A captured operations report describes American engineers laying communications cable, normally a 3-day job requiring multiple teams. With jeeps, 2 hours. One jeep unspools cable from a large reel mounted in back. A second jeep follows, dragging a blade that cuts a shallow trench and buries the cable. A third jeep with a roller packs the earth. 3 jeeps, 2 hours. Tanaka sets down the report, picks up another. These reports trouble him more because they document modifications American soldiers made themselves in the field without engineering departments or design consultations. Wire cutters. After the Normandy invasion, German defenders strung wire across roads at neck height, designed to decapitate jeep drivers and passengers. American soldiers welded vertical bars to the front bumpers. The bars cut the wires before they could reach the passengers. Simple, effective, deadly for the Germans who thought they'd found a vulnerability. The soldiers modified their jeeps. The jeep accepted the modification. Armor. Photographs show jeeps with additional steel plating, sandbags on the floors, extra protection against mines and small arms fire. The frame handled the extra weight. The suspension compressed but didn't fail. The engine still had enough power to move. The jeep accepted the modification. Railway wheels. This one seems impossible, but multiple reports confirm it. American engineers in France replaced the jeep's rubber tires with flanged steel wheels, turned the jeep into a railroad locomotive, used them to scout ahead of train movements, to transport small groups quickly along rail lines, to haul supply carts. The jeep accepted the modification. Cold weather adaptations. Burma report, dated December 1943. Observed American vehicle operating in snow. Drums welded to wheels to reduce ground pressure. Vehicle successfully traversed terrain that stopped our trucks. The jeep accepted the modification. Amphibious experiments. Not the dedicated Ford GPA amphibious vehicle. Regular jeeps. Units near rivers waterproofed the engine, added flotation devices, and forded streams up to 4 feet deep. The reports note these were field modifications, not factory specifications. The jeep accepted the modification. Tanaka finds a report that stops him cold. It's a translation from a British newspaper correspondent's account. Burma Theater, early 1944. 2 correspondents drove a jeep through supposedly impassable jungle. They emerged at Imphal, a journey everyone said was impossible without a road. A British officer asked them how they navigated the jungle. The correspondent replied, "Our jeep hasn't found out about roads yet and we don't want to spoil it." Tanaka reads it again. "The jeep hasn't found out about roads yet. It's a joke, but it contains a truth that cuts deep. Japanese vehicles were designed for roads. Even the Kurogane assumed some kind of maintained surface, packed earth at minimum. The jeep assumed nothing." Another report, Holland, late 1944. A British column after an air raid. A correspondent comes across a soldier crying beside his destroyed jeep. The correspondent offers condolences, says the soldier will get another jeep. The soldier replies through tears, "It ain't that, sir. You see, I loved this one." Tanaka sets down the report. You don't love a truck. You don't love a tool. But American soldiers loved their jeeps. Why? He finds the answer in a captured American training document. The document lists jeep capabilities, standard military documentation, but buried in the appendix is a section titled Field Expedient Uses. The list runs for 3 pages. Engine heat. Place C-ration cans on the manifold. Hot meal in 10 minutes. Drain radiator water carefully for hot shaves. Warm canteens in winter. Power takeoff, remove one wheel, connect belt to rim. Uses power source for saws, generators, water pumps, grinders, drills. Body as platform, hood as field desk, hood as surgical table, rear body as shower, hang canvas, use gravity feed, windshield frame as antenna mount, roll bar, if installed, as cargo tie-down point. The list continues. And then Tanaka understands. The American Army didn't just accept field modifications, they encouraged them, they documented them, they trained soldiers to improvise. The Jeep wasn't a vehicle to be used as designed, it was a vehicle to be used as needed. Tanaka writes through the night. His report runs to 47 pages. Technical specifications, comparative analysis, operational observations. But the conclusion is 3 paragraphs. He rewrites them 6 times before he's satisfied. The final version. The American Jeep represents a fundamental philosophical departure from conventional vehicle design. Where Japanese engineering optimizes for specific requirements, American engineering optimizes for adaptability. The Jeep's technical specifications are unremarkable. The engine is adequate but not powerful. The suspension is simple but not sophisticated. The body is crude but not refined. Yet the vehicle succeeds because it was designed to accept modifications, not resist them. Every design choice prioritizes versatility over optimization. The result is a platform that becomes whatever the battlefield requires. We have never designed anything like this. He pauses at that last sentence. Consider softening it. No, it's true. Japan builds excellent vehicles. The Type 95 tank is a masterpiece of compact engineering. The Zero fighter dominated the early war through brilliant design optimization. But versatile, adaptable. When the Type 95 tank encounters unexpected terrain, it fails, because it was optimized for expected terrain. When the Zero fighter faces unexpected tactics, it struggles, because it was optimized for expected combat. The Kurogane scout car is excellent at its designated role, but try to modify it. The frame can't accept major changes. The engine compartment is fully occupied. The body is dedicated. It's an officer's car, only an officer's car. Tanaka walks back to the captured Jeep. He's brought photographs of the Kurogane for comparison. Frame design, Kurogane complex tubular frame, optimized for weight distribution, light, efficient. But try to add a heavy radio set, the frame flexes. Try to tow a heavy load, the rear sags. Jeep, simple ladder frame, overbuilt for standard loads, heavier than necessary, but you can bolt anything anywhere. The frame accepts it. Engine placement, Kurogane. Engine optimized for the available space, fits perfectly. Access requires removing panels. Modifications require redesigning the engine compartment. Jeep. Engine loosely placed, extra space around it. Hood opens wide. Everything accessible. Want to add a generator? Room for it. Want to mount a winch? Power is available. Body design. Kurogane. Integrated body and frame. Smooth lines. Aerodynamic considerations. Beautiful to look at. But the body and frame are one system. Modify one must modify both. Jeep. Body sits on frame. Simple bolt-on panels. Remove the body, frame still works. Modify the body, frame isn't affected. One system becomes two systems, becomes infinite possibilities. The Americans designed for uncertainty, the Japanese designed for certainty. In 1936, when the Kurogane was designed, that made sense. Japan knew what kind of war it expected to fight. Short, decisive. In Asia, on roads the Japanese army would control. The Americans in 1940, they didn't know what war they'd face. Europe, Pacific, Africa, all of them. So they designed for anything. Tanaka's report includes a section on domestic production capabilities. Could Japan build a Jeep equivalent? The technical answer is yes. The manufacturing is straightforward, stamped steel panels, simple mechanics, nothing exotic. But could Japan build 670,000 of them? No. American Jeep production by 1945, Willys 368,000 units, Ford 227,000 units total, 645,000 plus units and counting. Japanese vehicle production total across all types, roughly 190,000 vehicles for the entire war. The scale is impossible, but more troubling to Tanaka, the philosophy is impossible. Because the Jeep's versatility requires something Japan's military culture doesn't permit. Soldiers making decisions. When an American soldier welds wire cutters to his Jeep, that's innovation. In the Japanese army, that's modification of military property without authorization. When American engineers document field expedient uses, that's empowerment. In the Japanese army, that's encouraging soldiers to deviate from doctrine. The Jeep works because American soldiers are expected to improvise, to adapt, to solve problems. Japanese soldiers are expected to follow orders, to execute doctrine, to fulfill their assigned role. You can copy the Jeep's design, you can't copy the culture that makes the design work. Tanaka doesn't write this in his report. Some truths are too dangerous, but he knows it. November 1944, Tanaka submits his report through proper channels. It goes to Army Technical Headquarters. It goes to Mitsubishi, to Nissan, to Toyota. He receives acknowledgement, no feedback. The war continues. The situation deteriorates. By early 1945, American forces are island hopping toward Japan. The Imperial Japanese Navy is shattered. The army fights defensive battles. Tanaka is transferred to a factory in Yokohama. Design work has stopped. They're repairing damaged equipment, keeping the army mobile as best they can. He doesn't know if his report mattered. He doesn't know if anyone even read it. What Tanaka doesn't know? His report survives the war. When American occupation forces arrive, they seize technical documents. Tanaka's report is translated, catalogued, filed. A copy ends up at U.S. Army Intelligence. Another copy goes to the Library of Congress. A third copy is returned to Japanese authorities. By 1948, Japanese automobile manufacturers are restarting production. They need guidance. What should they build? How should they build it? Someone remembers Tanaka's report. Engineers at Toyota read it. Toyota engineer Hanji Umehara looks at the BJ prototype sitting in the workshop. The BJ, Toyota's attempt at a utility vehicle for the post-war Japanese market. It needs to work in rural areas, needs to handle rough terrain, needs to be reliable. Umehara has read Tanaka's report multiple times. He's also studied captured Jeeps, measured them, tested them, understood them. The BJ incorporates Jeep principles. Simple frame, accessible engine, flat body surfaces designed for modification. But with Japanese refinement, Better metallurgy, tighter tolerances, more sophisticated engine, the Jeep philosophy, Japanese execution. The BJ becomes the land cruiser. By 1960, it's competing globally. By 1980, it's legendary for reliability. By 2000, Land Cruisers operate in 180 countries. Remote clinics, conservation organizations, military forces, UN peacekeepers. The vehicle that could be anything a soldier needed becomes the vehicle that can be anything anyone needs. The irony completes itself. Japan spent the war trying to defeat American weapons. After the war, Japanese engineers learned from those weapons. What they learned from the Jeep? Versatility beats optimization. That lesson echoes through every Toyota, Nissan, Honda ever built. The reliability, the adaptability, the "it just works" philosophy. All descendants of Tanaka's report, all echoes of that captured Jeep in a Philippine warehouse. The Americans won the war. But the Japanese won the peace by learning what the Americans knew in 1940. Design for uncertainty, build for adaptation, trust the user to innovate. The final accounting. Jeep production, World War II, total units, 670,000 plus. Deployed, every theater of war survived, tens of thousands still exist. American deployment, 1941, 36 Jeeps per infantry regiment. 1944, 149 Jeeps per infantry regiment. Infantry division total 612 Jeeps. Armored division total 449 Jeeps. What they said, General Dwight D. Eisenhower. The Jeep, the Dakota airplane, and the landing craft were the three tools that won the war. He listed the Jeep first. General George C. Marshall. The Jeep is America's greatest contribution to warfare. Ernie Pyle, war correspondent. I don't think we could carry on the war without the Jeep. It's as faithful as a dog, as strong as a mule, and as agile as a goat. What made it work? Not the best at anything, but adequate at everything. Not optimized for a purpose, but designed for purposes. Not finished when it left the factory, but ready to become whatever was needed. The lesson. In 1940, American engineers faced an impossible requirement. Design a vehicle for a war they couldn't predict. So they designed for unpredictability. They built a platform. They trusted soldiers to make it work, and soldiers did. In ways the engineers never imagined, machine gun platforms, ambulances, radio stations, wire layers, railroad engines, anti-aircraft weapons, field kitchens, water pumps, whatever war needed, whatever peace needed. Late October 1944, the warehouse in the Philippines. Tanaka looks at the Jeep one last time before his report goes up the chain. He runs his hand along the flat hood. The simple, crude, brilliant little vehicle. In his report, he's written the technical details, the measurements, the analysis, but he adds one final note. A personal observation that won't survive the editing process. We have built beautiful machines, precise machines, powerful machines. The Type 95 tank is a marvel of efficient design. The Zero fighter is perfection in the air. Our ships are works of engineering art, but we have never built a machine that could be anything a soldier needed it to be. The Americans have, and that, perhaps more than their bombers or their factories, is why we are losing. They designed for chaos, we designed for order. War is chaos, the Americans understood this. We did not. The report goes into a file, the file goes into an archive. The archive survives the war. And in the ruins of Japan, in the years of rebuilding, engineers read that file and understand what Tanaka understood. You don't design for the world you want. You design for the world that is. The Jeep's legacy isn't in the vehicles it inspired. It's in the philosophy it taught. 60 horsepower, 2,400 pounds, 80-inch wheelbase. And the wisdom to know that the best design isn't the most optimized, it's the most adaptable.